15 ordinary businesses on this list can be started for less than the price of a used pickup truck. Some of them look like nothing from the road: a guy with a trailer, a machine in a parking lot, a truck full of pool nets. But the owners running them in small towns are quietly pulling in more than most downtown storefronts. Whoever will. I'm Chris, and this is Boring Money with Chris, where I dig up the unglamorous businesses quietly making real cash. Today we're touring small towns, 15 businesses you can start under 10 grand, some owners clearing 6 figures a year doing work nobody else wants. Number 15 starts us off, and it involves old mattresses. Number 15, Mattress Recycling. Every mattress thrown out has steel springs, foam, and wood that landfills do not want and recyclers will pay for. A small operation with a box truck, a mattress shredding machine, and a partnership with local hotels or apartment complexes can start for around $8,000. In small towns, the nearest big recycler might be 2 hours away, so a local drop-off and pickup service fills a real gap. Owners typically charge $15 to $25 per mattress and resell the stripped steel by the pound. One Ohio operator started with a single trailer behind his house and now processes over 200 mattresses a month for property managers who'd otherwise pay dump fees. AI helps here more than you'd expect, routing pickup schedules and predicting which apartment complexes are about to turn over units. It is not exciting work. It is steady, and almost nobody else wants to do it. Number 14, pool cleaning routes. In warm weather small towns, backyard pools sit untouched for weeks because homeowners hate the chemistry and the algae. A root business needs a truck, basic testing kits, and a few $100s in chemicals to start, often under $5,000 total. Each pool typically pays $80 to $120 a month for weekly service, and one person can manage 30 to 50 pools solo. A route in a small Arizona town grew almost entirely through word of mouth between neighbors on the same street. No marketing budget at all. AI-powered water testing apps now read a photo of a test strip and tell the technician the exact chemical dose needed, cutting guesswork that used to take years to learn. It is unglamorous chlorine-smelling work. The margins, though, are some of the best on this whole list. Number 13, Mobile Pet Grooming. Small towns often have no grooming salon at all, just a 2-hour drive to the nearest city. A used van converted into a grooming station with a tub, dryer, and table runs $8,000 to $10,000 used. Groomers typically charge $50 to $90 per dog and can book 8 to 10 appointments a day, parked right in someone's driveway. A groomer in rural Vermont built a 2-month waiting list simply because she was the only mobile option within 40 miles. AI scheduling tools now cluster appointments by neighborhood automatically, so a groomer wastes less gas driving in circles and more time actually working. It is loud, wet, fur-covered work, but rural pet owners will pay a premium for not having to load a nervous dog into their own car for an hour-long drive. Number 12, crawl space encapsulation. Older homes in small towns almost always have damp, moldy crawl spaces that nobody inspects until something goes wrong. Sealing one with vapor barriers, a dehumidifier, and insulation costs the homeowner $3,000 to $8,000, and a contractor can start this business with under $10,000 in tools and a used truck. Jobs typically net $1,500 to $3,000 in profit each, and one crew in rural Kentucky stays booked 2 months out just from home, inspectors referring them after finding mold. AI moisture mapping sensors now let a contractor scan a crawl space in minutes and generate an instant report showing exactly where water is getting in, something that used to take a full afternoon of crawling around with a flashlight. It is dirty, cramped, unpleasant work most people will never do themselves. That is exactly why it pays so well. Number 11, cemetery headstone cleaning. This one sounds strange until you realize every small mound has an old cemetery full of families who want their ancestors' stones legible again. Startup costs are almost nothing, under $2,000 for a pressure washer, biological cleaner, and soft brushes. Cleanings typically run $75 to $200 per headstone, and a single cemetery visit can book 10 or more jobs from families who see the work happening and stop to ask. A woman in rural Pennsylvania built a full seasonal business around it, timed to Memorial Day and Veterans Day when families visit graves. AI helps mostly with marketing here, generating before and after content that spreads through local Facebook groups faster than any flyer ever could. It's quiet, respectful, oddly peaceful work, and almost zero competition exists in most towns. Number 10, oil change franchises, specifically the small format kind built for towns too small for a big chain location. A compact bay franchise can be entered for as low as $40,000 to $60,000 with financing, but stripped-down independent quick lube setups without a franchise name have opened for closer to $9,000 using a used lift and basic tools. In towns where the nearest dealership is 30 miles out, a quick oil change shop becomes the default errand people run on Saturdays. Owners typically profit $20 to $35 per basic oil change, and a modest shop doing 20 cars a day is looking at real monthly numbers. AI-driven inventory systems now predict exactly which filters and oil grades a small-town shop needs to stock, so owners stop tying up cash in parts nobody drives in for. It's greasy, repetitive, dependable work, and dependable is the whole point. Number 9, Christmas light installation. This is seasonal, but small towns are full of homeowners who want a lit-up house without climbing a ladder in December. Startup costs sit around $3,000 to $6,000 for commercial-grade lights, clips, and a ladder rack for the truck, and most owners buy lights once and reuse them for years. Jobs typically run $300 to $800 per house depending on size, and a 2-person crew can install 4 to 6 houses a day during the 6-week season. One installer in small-town Minnesota nets over $30,000 in profit across just 2 months of work each winter. AI design tools now let customers preview their own house lit up before a single clip goes on the roof, which closes sales instantly instead of over days of back and forth. It's cold, seasonal, ladder-heavy work that pays like a second income for 6 weeks a year. Here's a question. What do you think a machine that just makes and sells bagged ice actually earns in a small town with one gas station? More than you'd guess. Number 8, Ice Vending Machines. A single outdoor ice vending unit costs around $8,000 to $11,000 installed, and it runs itself, no employees, no storefront, just electricity and a water line. Bags typically sell for $2 to $3, and in a hot summer small town near a lake or campground, one machine can move over 1,000 bags a month. An owner in rural Texas runs 6 machines across different gas station lots and checks inventory entirely from his phone. AI-connected sensors alert him the moment a machine is low on ice or cash, so he only drives out when there's actually something to do. It's about as passive as boring money gets, sitting quietly in a parking lot, turning water into cash all summer long. Number 7, courier and medical delivery. Rural pharmacies and small clinics often have no delivery staff of their own, and patients, especially elderly ones, can't always drive in. A courier business needs just a reliable car, insurance, and around $3,000 in startup costs to get licensed and equipped. Drivers typically earn $8 to $15 per delivery and can run 15 to 25 stops a day across a rural route. A courier in small-town Iowa built a standing contract with 2 pharmacies and a regional lab, and now earns steady weekly income without chasing new customers each month. AI dispatch software batches nearby stops automatically, so drivers stop wasting gas crisscrossing the same county twice. It's simple driving work, but in a small town where the next pharmacy is 40 minutes away, being the reliable delivery person makes you essential fast. Number 6, bookkeeping for trades. Small-town plumbers, electricians, and landscapers are excellent at their trade and terrible at invoicing, and most would happily pay someone else to handle it. Starting this business costs almost nothing. A laptop and cloud accounting software subscription, often under $1,500 total. Bookkeepers typically charge $300 to $800 a month per client and can manage 15 to 20 small trade businesses solo. A bookkeeper in small-town Georgia built her entire client list just from hanging around the same diner where local contractors eat breakfast. AI bookkeeping tools now auto-categorize expenses and flag missing receipts, cutting the actual hands-on work from hours to minutes per client each month. It's quiet desk work most people overlook completely, and it's one of the highest margin businesses on this entire list. Number 5, appliance repair. In small towns, calling a manufacturer's repair line often means waiting 2 weeks for a technician to drive in from the city, so an independent local repairman becomes the fastest option by far. Tools in a used van to start this business run around $6,000 to $9,000, including diagnostic equipment for washers, dryers, and refrigerators. Repairs typically bill $60 to $150 per visit, and a busy technician can complete 4 to 6 calls a day. A repairman in rural Tennessee stays booked 3 weeks out purely on referrals from the local hardware store. AI diagnostic apps now let a technician photograph an error code and get a likely cause and part number before even leaving the driveway, cutting wasted return trips dramatically. It's greasy, hands-on troubleshooting work, and rural customers will pay well just to avoid the 2-week wait. Number 4, traffic cone and barricade rental. Small towns constantly need cones and barricades for festivals, parades, roadwork, and construction, but rarely own enough to justify buying and storing them. A starter inventory of cones, barricades, and signage costs around $7,000 to $10,000, often stored in a rented garage or a corner of someone's property. Rental contracts typically run $200 to $1,500 per event, depending on size and duration, and one operator in small-town Missouri supplies every county fair and school event within an hour's drive. AI scheduling tools now track which equipment is out, due back, and available for the next event automatically, which matters a lot when your entire inventory is sitting in 15 different parking lots at once. It's unglamorous plastic and steel sitting in a garage most of the year. It also happens to be one of the least competitive niches on this whole list. Number 3, micro markets in small office buildings and factories. Small towns with even one mid-size employer often have no nearby vending beyond a tired old snack machine nobody trusts. A micro market setup, open shelving, coolers, and a self-checkout kiosk runs around $8,000 to $10,000 per location. Owners typically earn 30 to 50% margin on snacks and drinks, and a single break room location serving 150 employees can generate over $2,000 a month in pure profit. An operator in small-town Wisconsin placed markets in 3 factories and a trucking depot, restocking twice a week from one van. AI restocking software tracks exactly what sells fastest at each location, so the van shows up loaded with what that specific building actually wants, not guesswork. It's quiet, low-drama recurring revenue sitting in a break room, easy to miss, and surprisingly hard to compete with once you're the incumbent. Number 2, asphalt sealcoating. Every small-town parking lot, church, school, and driveway cracks under sun and freeze cycles, and sealcoating is the cheap fix property owners put off for years until it's unavoidable. A sealcoating rig, tank, sprayer, and crack-filling tools runs around $9,000 to $12,000 used, right at the edge of this list's budget. Jobs typically price out at 15 cents to 25 cents per square foot, and a single church parking lot can be worth $800 to $1,500 in a single afternoon of work. A 2-man crew in small-town Alabama does 40-plus driveways and lots each season and nets 6 figures working essentially 5 months a year. AI drone mapping now measures a lot's exact square footage from a single flyover, so quotes go out same day instead of after a slow manual walk-around. It's hot, tar-smelling, seasonal work. It also happens to be one of the highest margin trades on this entire list. And number 1, the one nobody sees coming, trailer rentals. In small towns, almost everyone eventually needs a trailer for a day, moving furniture, hauling brush, transporting livestock, and almost nobody wants to own one for that one use. A starting fleet of 4 to 6 utility trailers costs around $8,000 to $10,000 total, often bought used and touched up. Owners typically rent them for $40 to $80 with almost zero ongoing cost beyond tire maintenance and the occasional coat of paint. One rental yard in rural North Carolina grew from 3 trailers behind a barn to a fleet of 22, now generating over $250,000 a year with the owner working part-time. AI booking apps handle reservations, deposits, and return reminders automatically, so trailers get returned on schedule without a single phone call. It's about as boring as business gets, steel, wheels, and a hitch. It's also the highest ceiling on this entire list. None of these 15 businesses will make headlines. That's sort of the whole point. Boring work in overlooked small towns, done consistently, tends to quietly outperform whatever's trendy this year. If you had to pick just one to actually try, which one would it be? Drop it in the comments. I read every one. And before you sink real money into anything on this list, do your own homework on the local demand and maybe talk it through with someone who knows the numbers. If this kind of story is your thing, subscribe. There's a lot more boring money where this came from.